Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to maximize your frame rate by adjusting some settings in Planetside 2.
Alright everybody, the first thing you're going to want to do is go over here to your settings panel. And first of all, let's go to general settings, just because there are some settings in here you should be turning off just for input lag. Input lag is going to help you have that edge over that one person. Like the millisecond edge you need to kill the other person before they kill you is going to be this one. So you're going to want to use raw mouse input, turn reduce input lag off, and mouse acceleration off. This is just going to reduce the input lag from your mic, or I'm sorry, your mouse. Okay, let's go down to graphics. I would say keep your display mode on full screen if you can. You are going to get input lag on any windowed mode. That being said, if you have to have like Discord and you have to alt tab between them, use full screen borderless, I guess. Resolution, just keep it on the one that's best for your monitor. Render quality, for the rest of these settings, I'm going to show you kind of, it depends on what you need. First of all, what I would recommend is play your game and see which one you're, here's a good indicator. If you type slash FPS, it'll say down here in the bottom left your FPS, and then whether you are CPU bound or GPU bound. 99% of you are going to be CPU bound. Just the way the game is coded, it's more CPU intensive. So that being said, I'm going to show you both ways. If you are for some reason GPU bound, first of all, consider upgrading your graphics card, and then second of all, I'm going to show you a way to optimize it better. So first of all, for most people who will be CPU bound, turn off anything that relates to lighting or shadows, or shading of some sort, because that's usually CPU intensive. So right here, water reflections off, object reflections off. I keep this one off just because I don't like that setting. Bloom as well, it adds a weird effect to the lighting. I don't like it. Play around with it. If you like it, keep it. Fog shadows off. Smoothing, this is a very interesting setting. So it's very important that you have good FPS, because in these big fights, there's a bug in Planetside 2 where if you don't have the right FPS, like I forget what it is. It's like 90 to 100 FPS or something. If you don't have that FPS, your rate of fire of your gun will actually cap to maybe like 10-15% lower than it should be if you're running at like 60 FPS. Smoothing is the correction for that. I'm actually not too sure. It sets like a frame rate cap, and you have to. Smoothing works best when you have the correct cap where it's running at like the top setting. I'm not sure. There's probably videos all out there on smoothing. I would recommend watching them if you really can't get the frame rate. But after this video, I'm sure that you'll have enough frame rate and you won't need this setting. Vertical sync, also another thing. If you have NVIDIA, I would recommend turning on G-Sync. It's going to help with smoothing of the frames. It's going to make it a lot smoother to see enemies and reduce tearing on the screen. I always run G-Sync on all my games. And I'm also going to recommend that you turn your field of view up. This is going to help a lot with your gameplay, in my opinion. It's going to take a while to get used to, I believe, if you have been playing on low vertical field of view. But I would definitely recommend turning this setting up. And now for the most important settings, in my opinion, we have, so for me, these are my settings. Most of you will be GPU or CPU bound. So I would recommend copying these settings. Most of the time, I have a 4060, I believe. So I can run these on high, and I'm getting 90 to 100 frames in fights with 200 plus people. So, but if you don't have as good of a graphics card, you can run it on medium without any, too big of a difference. Also, keep monitoring it with your task manager. Always monitor your task manager and see what your performance is at. As you can see, Planetside 2 is eating the heck out of my CPU. It's just at 100% usage for like that entire point there. And mine's always pretty much always using 100% CPU usage. So, but my graphics card is pretty much running at like 50% usage most of the time. I was probably at like 60 or 70 there. But as you get into those big fights, it's really not using too much of the GPU. So don't feel afraid to turn these graphics settings up. So like I said earlier, all the lightings you're going to want to turn down for a CPU. It, obviously, do the opposite of this if you are GPU bound. Lighting low, shadow off, effects low, terrain, flora. I actually just don't like the look of these, so I keep them off. Model quality high, just because that's GPU intensive. That's GPU intensive. This I would recommend everybody keep on high. This will reduce calculations for both your GPU and your CPU. Mainly it just involves using RAM, and Planetside 2 does not use a lot of RAM. And most people have enough RAM to keep this on ultra. Keep this on ultra for everyone. Graphics quality high, model quality high, particles low. This one you can kind of change. I think this is also bullet tracers and like the shield recharge particles and stuff. Most of the time I just keep this on low because I don't need bullet tracers or anything. Might be helpful if like a sniper is shooting at you and you need to see where they are, I guess. But honestly, I would recommend keeping these settings. You can turn these to medium. Now, for, in my opinion, the most important part of this whole thing, turn use global render distance off. Unless you just want to keep it at this, but I don't think so. I think by default they set this to 2000 and they have use global render distance to 2000 and everybody's at 2000. This is life changing right here. Because in infantry fights, I actually have this set to 150. It doesn't say it here. You're going to have to go into the files to change it. But in most fights, you can't even... 150 is more than enough. The only time I've had problems with this is sometimes I'll play Infiltrator and I can't see like a little bit past where I need to see. So set this to 300. Double will be more than enough. And then as far as vehicle and air distance go, I just keep it at 2000 because I don't really care about frames while I'm inside of the vehicle. So this is pretty much my entire settings. Let me show you how to change. First of all, I have my vertical field of view set higher and wide view mode on. And let me show you how to do this. So if you go to your this directory right here, Steam, 86 files, Steam apps, Common, Planetside 2. You scroll down, you'll get user options ini. This is where all your settings are. Everything we just changed will be updated here as soon as you restart your game and stuff. But you want to scroll down to infantry render distance, and I just keep it at 150. It is more than enough. Test it out, and you can play with it. And if you need more, you can turn it up. But I guarantee you that's going to be more than enough for you. And then as far as FOV goes, you can also edit that in here. It's somewhere. Here it is. I have it set to 84. This is going to help see, obviously, enemies who are outside of your peripheral vision. And you also, if you're turning it past this, I think you have to have wide view mode on to kind of increase your field of view a little bit more. As far as everything else goes, I think that's all the settings that you can change to really enhance this experience. And I think you will have really increased frames per second after this. I like I said, I constantly run probably about 80 to 90 frames in 200 plus player fights, and I've never really experienced problems after I learned how to adjust all these settings. If this video helped you out, feel free to leave a comment or a like. If you have any more questions, also feel free to comment, and yeah, see you guys later.